Hi guys, as a former science teacher, I would like to share with you about photosynthesis. Plants have green pigments called chlorophyll stored in the chloroplast. These pigments aids in capturing the light energy from the sun that enables plants to change it into chemical energy stored in the food. This process is called photosynthesis. So plants need carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight in order to produce glucose or sugar and release oxygen. Photosynthesis is a process of food making done by plants and other autotrophic organisms. The presence of chlorophyll enables these organisms to make their own food. Autotrophic organisms require light energy, carbon dioxide, and water to make food in the form of sugar. In plants, photosynthesis mainly takes place in the leaves and little or none in stems, depending on the presence of chlorophyll. The typical parts of the leaves includes the upper and lower epidermis, mesophyll, spongy layer, vascular bundles, and stomata. The upper and lower epidermis protects the leaves and has nothing to do with photosynthesis processes. The mesophyll has the most number of chloroplasts that contain chlorophyll. They are important in trapping light energy from the sun. Vascular bundles, the phloem and the xylem, serve as transporting vessels of manufactured food and water. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are collected in the spongy layer and enter and exit the leaf through the stomata. Continue. The parts of a chloroplast include the outer and inner membranes, intermembrane space, stroma, and thylakoids stacked in grana. The chlorophyll is built into the membranes of the thylakoids. Chlorophyll absorbs white light, but it looks green because white light consists of three primary colors: red, blue, and green. Only red and blue light are absorbed, thus making this color unavailable to our eyes, while the green light is reflected, which makes the chlorophyll looks green. However, the energy from red and blue light that is absorbed will be used in photosynthesis. The green light that you can see is not absorbed by the plant, thus cannot be used to do photosynthesis. There are two stages of photosynthesis: the light-dependent reaction and the Calvin cycle, or the dark reaction. The light-dependent reaction happens in the presence of light. It occurs in the thylakoid membrane and converts light energy to chemical energy. Water, one of the raw materials of photosynthesis, is utilized during the stage and facilitates the formation of free electrons and oxygen. The energy harvested during this stage is stored in the form of ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, and NADPH. These products will be needed by the next stage to complete the photosynthesis process. The Calvin cycle, or the dark reaction, is a independent phase that takes place in the stroma and converts carbon dioxide into sugar. This stage does not directly need light, but needs the products of the light reaction. Thus, it occurs immediately after the light-dependent phase. The chemical equation for photosynthesis may be summarized. Carbon dioxide plus water, the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, will produce the end products such as glucose and oxygen, the release of oxygen. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoy my video. Okay, to reiterate, stomata are mostly found on the lower surface of the lip of land plants. They consist of two specialized cells called guard cells. Their main function is to allow gases such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, and oxygen to move rapidly into and out of the lip. Once the food is manufactured in plants, it is broken down through a process known as respiration, cellular respiration. Food is considered as the major source of energy of all organisms. When we say organisms, this includes plants and animals. The food is broken down to release the energy ATP in the presence of oxygen. It takes place in the cell, specifically in the mitochondria. And the process is known as glycolysis. In glycolysis, the 6-carbon sugar glucose is broken down into 2 molecules of a 3-carbon molecule called pyruvate. This change is accompanied by a net gain of 2 ATP molecules and 2 NADH molecules. This process is composed of 3 major reactions: the glycolysis, the Krebs cycles, and the electron transport chain. This is how the food is broken down. So glycolysis is followed by the Krebs cycle, wherein the Krebs cycle occurs in the mitochondrial matrix and generates a pool of chemical energy such as ATP and ADH and FADH from the oxidation of pyruvate, the end product of glycolysis. Pyruvate is transported into the mitochondria and loses carbon dioxide to form acetyl coenzyme A, a 2-carbon molecule. When acetyl coenzyme A is oxidized to carbon dioxide in the Krebs cycle, chemical energy is released and captured in the form of NADH, FADH2, and ATP. The electron transport chain, the third reaction, allows the release of the large amount of chemical energy stored in the reduced NAD and reduced FAD. The energy release is captured in the form of ATP, 3 ATP per NADH, and 2 ATP per FADH2. The electron transport chain consists of a series of molecules, mostly proteins, embedded in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So that's it. Bye for now.